Hi, good evening. Myself Kamal.
My name is Abhijeet Sugam, and today we'll be presenting on our blockchain project for fall 2022, and we'll go one by one, coming from ERC20 token to smart contract, and then we will show by deploying the contract and token, and then we will proceed further.
Hi. So in phase 3 and phase 4, our objective was to implement tokenization in our DApp, that is decentralized application. So basically our DApp was CredAuthentiFi. So CredAuthentiFi was used to validate the credentials. Now I will be taking you forward with the ERC20 implementation with our smart contract CredAuth. So we have implemented the CRED token in the form of ERC20. So let's give me a brief idea about what is ERC20. The ERC token specifies the ERC20 token specification has become the de facto standard for Ethereum tokens. In other words, most Ethereum contracts out there today are ERC20 compliant. The ERC token are so attractive and useful because ERC token are very simple and easy to deploy. The ERC20 standard solves a significant problem as blockchain-based marketplaces and crypto wallets need a single standardized sets of command to communicate with the range of tokens they manage. This include interaction rules between tokens as well as token purchase rules. It was the first popular specification to offer Ethereum token standardization. So talking about tokenization in the Solidity. Ethereum smart contracts are written in Solidity while there are alternative languages. There is a straightforward task simple enough to deploy the ERC20 token in under an hour. So basically there are 6 functions which are used. ERC20 functions allows an external user, say a crypto wallet app, to find out a user balance and transfer from the one user to another with proper authorization. The smart contract defines 2 specially defined events: event approval and event transfer. These events will be invoked or emitted when a user is granted right to withdraw tokens from an account and after the tokens are actually transferred. In addition to standard ERC20 functions, many ERC20 tokens also feature additional fields and some have common de facto part of the ERC20 standard. String public constant name, that is a cred coin. String public constant symbol, that is the symbol of the coin, CCN. And public constant decimal, that is the precision that we need to follow. So some points regarding ERC20 and Solidity nomenclature. A public function can be accessed outside the contract itself, as you all know. View basically means constant, that is a contract internal state will not be changed by the function. An event in Solidity is a way of allowing clients, that is your applications, front end to be notified on specific occurrences within the contract. So this is all about the ERC20 token specification. We have created the mapping. We need to define 2 mapping objects. This is the following notion for an associative or a key value in an array, that is mapping addresses balances. The expression mapping address unit defines an associative array whose keys are of type address, a number used to denote the account addresses and whose values are of type integer. The first mapping object balances will hold the token balance of each owner account. As you can see, the value of the field is allowed mapping is by itself mapping plotting account address to its approved withdrawal sum. These mapping together with all the other contract field will be stored in the blockchain and will be mined, resulting in changes being propagated to all the network user nodes. So now we will going to demonstrate the CredAuth.solidity. We have injected the ERC20 specification in the constructor part of the CredAuth in order to integrate the cred token in the CredAuth.solidity file. Now we will going to deploy this solidity file. First of all, we'll deploy the cred token. We'll go and compile it. Now we will go for deployment. We'll choose the injected provider MetaMask. We'll give the total supply of tokens which are required at the time of deployment will be 100 cred coins. So as you know, 2 decimal precisions are allowed. So we need to specify 2 zeros at the end. As we can see, the MetaMask pops up. We'll approve this transaction. So we'll wait for the Zeroli to give a response for a contract deployment. Our request is in queue and it is pending from the Etherscan. As you can see, we get a success response from the Etherscan. Our contract has been deployed successfully. We will note this down the cred token smart contract address in our notepad. Now we will going to deploy the CredAuth.solidity file. So we'll compile this CredAuth.solidity. Now we will going to deploy, but before deploying, we need to give the smart contract address for the cred token so that we can easily integrate it with the CredAuth and work in parallel to the CredAuth.solidity functions. So we have pressed deployed and the MetaMask notification occurs. We'll approve this transaction. We'll wait for the Zeroli for a response. The request is pending with the Zeroli and it can be viewed on the Etherscan. As you can see, the success response from the view Etherscan, that contract has been deployed successfully, and we can see the address in our deployed contracts, CredAuth and cred token. We'll copy the address of CredAuth smart contract address and we'll note it down in our notepad. So we'll also copy this smart contract address and place it in our application. Smart contract address, and this is cred token address. Now we will going to save this file. Now we will going to deploy our application on Heroku. So first of all, we will going to log in at Heroku using this command Heroku login. So we have successfully logged in on Heroku. We will going on to the terminal again. We'll initialize the Git. The next command will be Heroku git remote CredAuthentiFi. CredAuthentiFi is the name of our application, which is configured on Heroku portal. That is the dashboard. Now we will going to commit our code onto the branch. Now we will push and deploy it on Heroku by the command git push Heroku master. As you can see, our deployment has been started. It is looking for the dependencies which are required to run this project. We'll wait for the command terminal for a successful deployment. As soon as the deployment occurs, a URL will be prompted on the terminal, which have a URL of our application. That is the hosted application. As you can see, the deployment has been successfully performed and we get the URL in the terminal. This is our URL of the application. https CredAuthentiFi.Heroku app. So we'll go on this URL. So first of all, we will going to import the tokens in the MetaMask. So there is a proper way of importing the CRED tokens. So we'll go in assets, we'll go in import tokens. There it is shown token contract address. So we'll copy the token contract address which we have deployed and paste it over here. As soon as we paste, you can see token symbol and token decimals are automatically populated into the fields. Add custom token. As you remember, 100 CCN were entered at the time of deployment. So 100 CCN CRED coins will be the balance. We'll import token. So this is our token. So this will be 1,000 CCN in our CRED coin balance. Now we will going to refresh this URL, CredAuthentiFi.Heroku app. It is hosted on Heroku. You can see our CRED coin balance is also reflecting on the front end. Now we will going to perform the functionality and like user registration, vendor registrations, and adding the credential onto the blockchain. So before moving on, we'll register the users. So we have the account addresses of my partner, Abhijeet Sugam, as a vendor. So we'll copy this and we'll make this as a vendor. So vendor registration, register vendor. So MetaMask pops up. We'll confirm this transaction and approves. Confirm. So we will wait for Jeroli to respond for this transaction. After the successful transaction, we will going to test it from backend whether the vendor has been registered successfully or not. So see, the registered vendor operation has been performed and it is pending on the Ether scan. So we will wait for the response from the Ether scan. Yeah, the transaction has been performed successfully. And for that, we can verify from the backend. We'll copy the vendor decentralized ID, which we use for the verification on registration. See, the ID2 is allocated for the vendor. Similarly, we're going to register user as well. For that, we will going to take the decentralized ID of my friend. User registration. MetaMask pops up. Approving the transaction. Status is still pending. And now it has been changed to successful register user. So for that, we will check it at the backend whether the user has been registered. For that, we will going to copy the decentralized ID and press register. It will going to show us 1. So let's click on register and it is showing 1. So we have choose the ID 1 for the users. Now we will going to add a credential. But before that, we will going to transfer some CRED coins into these accounts like vendor account and check whether they are able to spend these CRED coins for the validating or fetching the credentials. So we're going to move on to this application, CredAuthentiFi.Heroku app. We'll check the updated CRED coin balance. We'll take the user registration address, the decentralized ID of the user, and put it into the transfer CRED coin functionality, which we have implemented in our application. We'll enter the number of tokens. For the user, we will going to transfer 100 CRED coins. So we'll enter 100 as well as 2 zeros for the decimal because the decimal precision is 2. We'll press on transfer. 100 CCN transfer. Now the transaction is pending with the Zeroli network and it can be viewed on Etherscan. You can see the transaction is successfully, and this time we didn't speed up the transaction as well. So we'll check our updated balance. So it should see the 900 CCN, that is the updated balance. So similarly, we're going to transfer 200 cred coins to the vendor's account as well. So we'll copy the vendor registration and enter it over here in the beneficiary address, 200 cred coins and 2 zeros for the 2 precision decimals, that is 2 decimal places. We'll initiate the transfer coins. MetaMask pops up. We'll approve the transaction. 200 cred coins, confirm. We'll wait for the Zeroli to respond. Zeroli is taking too much amount of time today. So we need to spend some extra ethers on speeding up the transaction. So the transaction is still pending of 200 cred coins to the vendor. As you can see, the transaction is successful. We'll check the updated cred coin balance. The updated cred coin balance will be 700 CCN. That is 200 CCN has been transferred to the vendor as well as 100 CCN is transferred to the user. One more thing, the tokens can be viewed on the MetaMask wallet. I'll show you the tokens which are reflected on the MetaMask wallet in the asset sections. That is 700 CCN. We'll click on 700 CCN. It will show the transaction history. Previously, we transferred 200 CCN to vendor, 100 CCN to the user. All these transactions are maintained in the MetaMask. So we just imported our cred coin. So now we will going to add the credential. For that, we need an address, a particular specific decentralized address. So for that, we will open a Ganache and take a random access address. That is the decentralized account address of the credential. This is the entry point of the credential on the blockchain. From this point, all the functions like validation, fetching out the details, and knowing whether the credential is valid or not will going to take place. We'll copy this decentralized address, place it over here. Valid, university name, university at Buffalo, zip code 14214, issue date 7th of December 2022, expiry date 6th of December. Sorry, 2023. Credential ID CS526. Credential title blockchain development. Issued to Abhijeet Sugam. We're going to press add credentials. MetaMask pops up. We'll confirm the transaction. Now the transaction is pending on Etherscan with the Zeroli network. Let's see how much time Zeroli takes to process this transaction. You can see the Etherscan has provided us with the success response. Let's check. It's credential added successfully. For the testing purpose, we will going to copy this credential address which we added onto the blockchain and go on to the remix. We'll check it on fetch credentials. We should give the details which we entered. So yeah, valid, University at Buffalo, 7th of December 2022, 6th of December, the blockchain development, and the certificate is issued to Abhijeet Sugam. So our credential is on the blockchain. So any user and any vendor can perform validation or validation check, as well as fetching details of the credential can be performed on this blockchain. So now we will see the vendor functionality. For that, I will going to ask you, Abhijeet Sugam, to share his screen. Now we have logged in from the vendor's account, and now we will going to perform the transaction from the vendor account to fetch the credentials of the particular user. So we'll show you the CredCoin balance in the vendor account. So it is 200 CCN. That can be also shown in the MetaMask. And we will copy the credential decentralized address from the mail. We'll go down in credential details. We'll click pay and get credential detail. As you can see, the MetaMask pops up. We'll confirm the transaction and we'll wait for the response from the Zeroli network. As you can see, it is pending with the Zeroli. Now the transaction has been performed and the details are fetched, which we have entered in the adding the credentials into the blockchain. So issued to Abhijeet Sugam, valid, University at Buffalo, 7th December 2022, 6th of December, and the credential title blockchain. And now we will going to check the CredCoin balance. It will be updated. That is 190 CCN. So basically, vendor needs to pay 10 CredCoins for each and every transaction it performs, and the user needs to pay 20 CredCoins for the each transaction. So now we will going to perform the same transaction from the user. So switching the accounts. So we have selected the user account. As we can see, 100 CredCoins are available in the user account. So we're going to refresh this and press CredCoin balance. That 100 CredCoins are available in the user account. Similarly, we'll check for the validity of the credential by putting the decentralized address in the address bar and pay and get credential details. Okay, we'll copy it over here. Pay and validate. MetaMask pops up. So the transaction is pending with the Zeroli network. So you can see the transaction has been successful from Zeroli, and we have automatically showed the credential is valid with an expiry date of 6 December 2023. So this was the overall functionality which we need to demonstrate through the uses of token. And you can see as a part of phase 4, we have deployed this application on CredAuthentiFi.euro app. After the successful transaction, let's check the updated CredCoin balance. So updated CredCoin balance will be 80 CCN. So 80 CCN just because user needs to pay 20 CredCoins for each and every transaction. So we will going to see in the MetaMask also that whether this 80 CredCoins is reflecting into the MetaMask like assets. Yeah, 80 CredCoins is reflecting it over here also. So basically, we have implemented the tokenization in the form of payment system, and for which the user or the vendor needs to pay for a particular transaction for fetching the details of the credentials as well as validating the details of the credential. So thank you so much.